I would like to welcome everybody who is participating today in our first webinar of 2014, and I would like to welcome you to our sponsorship webinar here. So I would like to introduce to you the topic of sponsorship. I would like to talk about a little bit what kind of role management has in the context of an innovation management program. I would like to outline a little bit how we can involve our management and what kind of positive effects this has on innovation management programs in general. First of all, I would like to start by giving you a brief overview of enterprise innovation management. What does that mean, and what kind of goals are we looking for? What we have identified here at Hyde throughout the last 13 years that we are in the business is that the majority of companies nowadays, probably all of our organizations, have one specific target. They want to grow continuously. So they're looking for specified growth targets in the organization itself, and they want to achieve those targets by offering products and services to end consumers. What happens usually is that organizations have a portfolio of products and services, a current portfolio, and those products and services, they will generate revenue, but they will not continuously grow in terms of revenue, meaning that at some point existing products and services that an organization offers to the market will show a declination in revenues. And to prevent that from happening, usually organizations will take those products and take those services and will incrementally change them. And this will help organizations to reach parts of that goal, of that growth target goal, but in the end it will not be enough. So what organizations should be looking for is to be continuously innovative. So to continuously introduce new products, new services to existing markets, to new markets, and even think beyond that. So we will get to this later on. So innovation is not only about new products and new services. We will talk about this later on. We here at Hype have identified that usually organizations have a certain growth gap. And this growth gap can be specified in a very detailed way, actually. And what we have to keep in mind is that if we think about this growth gap, we want to try to solve it by innovative offerings. And usually what happens is that if we are innovative in an organization, if we create new product, services, and offerings in general, not everything will really be successful. So there will be offerings we will make to end consumers, to the market we are penetrating, that will not work. So we have identified that to actually close this gap, we should have an innovation portfolio which consists of concepts and new ideas that should be at least 3 times the size of that growth gap. If we talk about innovation activities, we can see that there's a movement from traditional innovation activities to focus on more ecosystem-like innovation programs. Traditionally, organizations would start with innovation programs on a very low level, on a local level, by involving maybe small groups of people, primarily R&D focused. They would do face-to-face sessions, and in most of the cases they would focus on products and service only. More modern activities are thinking about innovation management on an organizational level, meaning that we would not only focus on specific business units, divisions, or groups of people. We would think about innovation in context of the whole organization itself. We would try to do this online, so it is usually based on a portal, on a platform that is available to employees, where people can collaborate and interact. And in difference to traditional innovation activities, we're not only focusing on products and services, we take any business need that we have in an organization and put this in focus. On top of that, usually nowadays you would think about innovation ecosystems. So you're looking for innovation programs that think about the complete business chain of innovation and would try to find solutions for business problems on this chain. We are talking about innovation programs that have automated processes implemented, so we want to make the processes as automated as possible. Whenever there is a possibility for that, we should look for that. And we are thinking about even external innovation, meaning that we wanted to incorporate external groups, meaning our vendors, our suppliers, academics, universities we are working with, into our program. In some cases, maybe even talk with competitors who have similar problems to ours, that we can find solutions together. So we think about external audiences that we can ask for help and ask for support. So what this will turn out to is that we will usually get more ideas and better solutions if we think about modern activities or even ecosystems. We will get a more diverse content. So our content will not have just one or two shapes or one or two colors. We will have a vast variety of content that actually people and external audiences will submit to us. And this will lead us and help us to make more rigorous decisions that will, in the end, help us to reach our goals, help us to solve solutions, to solve challenges that we have, and to identify solutions to them. So what would enterprise collaborative innovation look like in the end? So what are the main aspects of it? One of the main aspects is that, and that's the key aspect here, is that we align our innovation program to our strategic company goals, meaning that our top management sets strategic goals for probably every fiscal year that should be achieved, or maybe on the long run. In a lot of cases, there is a strategic horizon where within 3 to 5 years certain goals should be achieved. And an innovation program is aligned to that. So it supports the challenges of the organization and the challenges of the management in the end, and we'll get to this in a second. The second main aspect of it is to identify ideas and maybe insights, so inside knowledge that is maybe available in parts of the organization. First of all, we want to encourage that people actually collaborate, that they talk to each other, that they take existing content and enrich it by discussions, comments, and so on. This is one of the main foundations for enterprise innovation. On top of that, we are also asking our community for their opinion. So we are asking for maybe votes and comments on ideas and content in general. And we also incorporate expert knowledge, meaning that we ask certain experts to conduct evaluations, to assess the content, and to identify content that is valuable to us in the end. And last but not least, the fifth main foundation for successful enterprise innovation is that at the end, after we have identified valuable content, after we have identified good ideas that will probably help us, we need to take action on them. And here, of course, management support and sponsorship especially comes into place. All right, so this is the basic foundation for innovation management. This is what today organizations are looking for, and this is how innovation management is lived nowadays. So let's talk a little bit about sponsorship. What kind of role has the sponsorship of a program or a campaign in context of innovation management programs? So the first question that we have to ask is, what is the need of our management? So what are they looking for? What kind of problems do they have? And usually these are all related to business challenges. So if I'm a manager, either a senior manager, an executive, or maybe in the middle management, I have certain business challenges that I have to solve on the short term and even on the long run. And I'm looking for solutions that can help me to solve those challenges. And innovation management here plays an important role. I'm also looking for my employees to, in some scenarios, to put themselves a little bit behind and prioritize the actual my actual colleagues. So, for example, that I not only think about my individual challenges that I as an employee have, but that I help my colleagues to reach their goals, and that we together then reach the goals probably of our management. To do that, management is also looking for employees that share knowledge, that collaborate, that talk to each other, that try to solve problems together, because we have identified among our customer base that in a lot of cases knowledge is available in certain parts of an organization, and to bring this knowledge together actually will in a lot of cases be a solution to business challenges. So knowledge, in a lot of cases, individual knowledge is not always a success factor, but connecting the knowledge that is within an organization, available within an organization, that is, in a lot of cases, a key aspect to success. And last but not least, we of course, as a manager and as management in general, we expect that our employees don't behave differently when talking about innovation, talking about new products, talking about new offerings. We hope that if they interact, if they collaborate, that they behave as they would do in face-to-face meetings. So this is the management part of it. This is the need of our management, and we have an opposite side to it. So they are, of course, our employees, and even our employees have certain needs, and we have to bear in mind that we have to fulfill those needs to get an innovation management program to certain success levels. So what are the needs of employees? First of all, usually what we have identified, the most important need is that they feel that they have a voice, that they feel that they are heard, and that people, and especially that management, listens to them. So they want to feel being taken seriously here. So it means that if I, as an employee, collaborate and contribute to an existing innovation management program, I need to feel taken seriously. If my management doesn't show me that and doesn't reflect that, I will not participate in the future. On top of that, employees would like to have the feeling that they can actually influence decisions that are being made. So if the management takes decision on certain ideas that have been identified, or maybe in the long run on general business decisions, they would like to have the feeling that they can influence that they can take part in that decision, at least to some extent. What they also want to feel like is that they want to be in the loop. They want to continuously get information about new developments in an organization, about new changes, about things that happen in the organization. And innovation management programs here play an important role. So if I, as an employee, submit an idea, if I collaborate and contribute, then I want to be aware of what is happening within the program. I want to know what is happening with my content, with my ideas that I have submitted, with my comments. But I also want to know what is happening in general. And this will lead to, in the end, to greater levels of satisfaction, meaning that we will have more satisfied employees, which will then, in the end, probably contribute even more. On top of that, I want to try as an employee to connect to others. That is usually a motivation that we have identified among workforces. So it's not something that only management is looking for, but even the employees are looking for. So they want to talk to others. They don't want only to talk to their direct colleagues. And innovation management programs can help to connect people here. So people want to learn more about what is happening outside of their own world. And innovation management platforms in general, through software, we can actually reach that goal. And to summarize this, employees would actually like to help other people. They are not only focused on their day job and not only focused on their world. They have an intrinsic motivation to help others, and that is something that we have seen in a lot of organizations. So these are the needs of our employees. And the needs of management and the needs of our employees, we have to keep both sides, we have to bear that in mind, that both sides are important and crucial to reach success in innovation. And especially the management part here. They can influence the needs of employees, they can actually fulfill them, and by doing that, they will fulfill their own needs. And let's get to that part. I would like to show you, first of all, what does failure look like? Meaning that what happens if we don't have enough management support, and how could this look like in reality? So here you see two scenarios. And the one scenario, the line in the dark blue shade, that is an innovation program where we actually don't have management support. So we see that there is a continuous growth in participation, but we see that we don't reach the levels that we are probably looking for. So we're probably looking for way higher levels, and participation levels are crucial to actually reach success in the end. So this would be a program where no support is happening, no management is standing behind that, even on a program level, and this would be determined a failure. You wouldn't solve the problems that you have, you wouldn't solve the problems of your management, and the innovation program in the end would not succeed. And the scenario in the light blue curve here, That is a scenario where you actually have management support. So you have somebody, maybe your CEO, who is actually managing the program itself. You have maybe sponsors for your initiatives, for your campaigns. But what happens in the end is that you get a certain level of participation. That's very nice. You get results that you're looking for. But then in the end, nobody takes action. So nobody will actually implement the solutions that you have found. Nobody will try to create the business value that you're looking for. And because of that, and because people will become aware of that, nobody will continue to participate. I, as an employee, I would have submitted an idea, and I would see that my idea is not being reviewed, for example, or I would see that maybe it has been reviewed and identified to be a good solution for a problem, but then nothing happens with it. It's not getting implemented. There's no result being achieved. So management here is clearly lacking action on solutions. And this could lead in the end, as you can see, to the failure of the whole program. So if the target audience, if the employees recognize that management is actually not really interested in solutions because they are not implementing them, participation levels will drop and then the whole program will fail. Another important aspect that we have to cover is we here at Hype, we have identified factors that will actually impact engagement. Here you can see the most important ones. And as you can see, finding a sponsor and even finding the right sponsor has a very high impact on engagement. So in the positive case, if you find a sponsor for your program, if you find a sponsor for your initiatives, for your campaigns, you will see that this will have a positive effect on engagement levels and participation levels. But if you don't find a sponsor, maybe for a campaign that you want to run, or maybe find a sponsor that doesn't have the right profile, not the right image, so people will not believe the sponsor that he will actually implement solutions. They don't believe in the profile of the sponsor. Then this will have a negative impact on engagement levels. So people will not take the initiative that this sponsor is in place. They will not take this initiative seriously, so you won't get solutions to the fundamental underlying problem of this initiative, and in the end this will fail. So sponsorship, as you can see, especially when you have a proper sponsorship, it has a hugely positive effect on the program or initiatives that you run. All right, so we have talked a little bit about how failure would look like and how sponsorship now, what kind of role sponsorship plays in that context. So let's get to our first online question. I would like to ask you, how well connected is your management to your innovation program? So you should see all a pop-up, and I would just like to ask you if you could answer this. Okay, very good. So 80% have voted. I will now close the question. And we see pretty interesting results. So the majority of you have actually support on the program level and on the initiative level. So a lot of your managers are supporting your innovation programs. In some cases, you have support on the program level, but not on the campaign or initiative level. And in some cases, every fifth of you has answered that there is awareness among managers that the program exists, but there's no real support here. This is a very positive result. So usually in a lot of scenarios, we see that a sponsorship is a real problem, and to get managers on board is an issue that innovation managers have to tackle seriously. Okay, very good. So I would like to continue, and we have now talked a little bit about innovation programs. We've talked a little bit about sponsors, the need of management. We've talked about the need of employees. We have seen what happens when we don't get the proper sponsorship that we're looking for, and even if we get it, if sponsors are not involved and motivated enough to take action on solutions that have been identified. So let's talk in detail about the aspects that are important to achieve and get to real successes. So if we talk about sponsorship, we have to talk about business value, because that's what we are looking for in the end. Okay, so how do we get from having the right sponsorship in place to really achieve business value in the end? First of all, we have to talk about strategic sponsorship. So sponsorship on a program level, somebody who's standing behind the whole initiative, behind the whole innovation program that we are running, and that maybe reaches out to every employee that we have. And if it comes to strategic sponsorship, there are a lot of aspects that play a role here. So first of all, especially if you have a senior sponsor behind your innovation program, this will offer credibility. So in the best case, you have maybe your CEO who sponsors the whole program. And this will lead to the fact that you can, in the end, align your innovation program to your organizational goals. If you have the CEO who stands behind your innovation program, then he's probably going to expect some valuable outcomes of the program, and you can do that by then aligning your innovation program to the strategic goals that the organization has. So this supports us in actually aligning our goals with the organizational goals. This has also a positive effect on your employees. So if your CEO or an SVP or somebody from the executive management sponsors your program, it will lead to the fact that employees will understand that they have the support to spend a little bit of time, of their work time, on innovation. So this will foster belief in the fact that this is actually part of their job. Management is actually looking for content, looking for collaboration, looking for contributions, and they will understand that this is in the end part of their day job. What it also will lead to is that it generally strengthens the belief that innovation as a topic is probably one of the core competencies of your organization. It means that management is standing behind it, the CEO maybe is standing behind it. It means that innovation is being taken very, very seriously. And this, again, has a positive effect on employees. So our recommendation, our best practices would recommend that your program should be sponsored, and in the best case, by the CEO. So we have talked about strategic sponsorship on a program level. Let's talk about tactical sponsorship. Let's talk about sponsorship on a campaign level and on the level of initiatives that you want to run. So even when we talk about campaigns and initiatives that want to solve specific business challenges, sponsorship is recommended and helpful. So first of all, like on a program level, it will foster belief in the initiative itself. So if you define a certain campaign, if you have identified a certain business challenge and you want to run the campaign, then having an appropriate sponsor in place will actually foster the belief that this initiative is an important initiative for the management, and that they are looking for actual solutions to solve this problem. What it also means is that the sponsor that you should look for should actually have the business need, meaning that if you want to run a campaign that is focused on one topic, that is something that we recommend. If you want to run campaigns, make them very, very specific. Then the owner of the problem, the one that has the business need, he should be the sponsor. He should represent the business need in the end. Because he probably knows what kind of solutions he's looking for, what kind of solutions will solve this challenge. He can set the framework for the campaign. What it does is, it ensures in the end that all the solutions that we find, hopefully, will actually solve problems of our management. So we ask sponsors, we ask our management to sponsor a campaign, and by that we will talk with them, we will identify all the challenges that they have, or the main challenges that they have, and by that we help our management to solve their problems, which is a really interesting fact here. So this is a service. Innovation management is here a service that can be used to solve real business challenges. If it comes to middle management, this is an interesting part here. If you start an innovation program, if you roll it out initially, we recommend that you should maybe focus in the first place on the needs of middle managers, because in the end, they have business challenges in the majority of cases that can be solved, or looking for solutions that can be implemented in a short period of time, meaning that their challenges are probably more tactical and not strategical. So they will probably just influence one business unit or division, or the area that they are actually managing, that they are influencing, that they have influence of. And usually this will lead to quicker results. And because you can achieve quicker results, you get the interest of the community very, very quickly here. By doing that, what we have encountered, unfortunately, in some scenarios, is that middle managers can act, in some cases, as we call them, blockers, as road blockers. So it's difficult to get them on board. The top management, the executive management is supporting us, but middle management is not standing behind it. They think it's a waste of time or so. So by actually implementing them and fulfilling their needs, we get them on board. And by getting them on board, we prevent the situation that they can act as roadblockers. What we also have to focus on is that we have different stakeholders that play an important role in a campaign, meaning that we have probably a community that we're looking for that manages the campaign. We have probably a couple of people that will evaluate a campaign, so they will act as a review team. And we will have probably a couple of people that would implement solutions. So we have implementers in place. All of those different stakeholders have to be on board. They have to have a positive attitude towards the campaign, and having the right sponsor in place helps us to achieve that. So our recommendations would be run campaigns with a clear sponsor in place. If possible, it should be a senior manager. If not, then look for middle managers, especially when you run initiatives, if you launch an innovation program. And we have to make sure that the sponsor actually owns the problem here. All right, so let's talk about engagement, and let's talk about what kind of role sponsorship has in terms of engaging an audience. So if I'm an employee, if I'm a regular employee, and I see that my organization starts a campaign or maybe rolls out a new innovation program, I will be pretty cautious before I start to act and to contribute. So, well, I have a couple of things in mind, if this really makes sense to me and so on. So I will have a cautious attitude here. And primarily, as we saw in one of the slides before, my participation and the participation of all employees is driven by the belief in the sponsor. So if I understand the need that he has, and if I believe that he actually is looking really for solutions, and I know that he has a profile of getting things done, then I will actually participate. And this correlates with the fact that I have to understand and to know, I have really to know that the sponsor is somebody who will have the resources, the budget, and so on to take ideas and concepts seriously, to implement them in the long run. If I don't have this attitude towards the sponsor, if I don't believe in him, if I'm not feeling connected to him, I will not participate. So there should be a certain level of connection between the audience that we have and the sponsor who is in place. And last but not least, the visibility of a sponsor is actually very helpful. So if it is possible for him to maybe comment on ideas, or maybe take part in discussions, or maybe outside of the platform to involve himself in discussions around his campaign, that is helpful here. So we recommend, in terms of best practices that we have identified, there should be a sponsor in place. He should be selected appropriately. If you need that, then go up the hierarchy chain and go up to higher levels to get management support. So, like we said, active participation is a really powerful tool. So if it is possible to have the sponsor on board to comment ideas, to reply to comments, to maybe even start discussions, that is something that we are looking for. If our program then matures, so if it has run maybe 6, 12, 18 months, and we have reached a lot of successes, then the visibility of the sponsor becomes less and less important. Because then our audiences, they will be aware of the program. We hopefully have the majority of them on board. They are engaged. They are actually looking for finding solutions and helping sponsors to find solutions to their challenges. So the more mature your program is, the less important becomes the visibility here. What is important is that sponsors should always consider their scope of action. So they should not ask for something that they cannot act on. If sponsors will do that, and if it becomes obvious to to our target audience of specific campaigns, then the audience will not participate anymore. So if they become aware of the fact that all the solutions that have been identified are way out of the scope of the sponsor, then we will not participate in any future campaigns. So as a best practice, we recommend the sponsor should ask for specific ideas, and he should outline the scope of action that he has. And if possible, we should encourage the sponsor to play an active role in campaigns. He should try to contribute, try to involve himself into all the discussions, not all the discussions, sorry, but at least some of them, so that it becomes obvious to the audience, well, he's not only sponsoring this, he's also engaged, he's also involved, so this will foster even more the belief in the whole campaign. All right, so our audience will also take into account the knowledge that the sponsor has, and especially when it comes to stakeholders, what kind of knowledge they have. So in the end, our target audience of a campaign, they can have a certain attitude towards the sponsor that is in place, and towards the people that are on board, that are part of the campaign management team, that are part of the evaluation team, part of the implementation team. And if it comes to the sponsor, we can have positive or negative attitudes. So either we have a sponsor with a bad reputation, so he's, as we said, he's well known that he's not getting things done, and we will probably then not have enough participation. So we should be selecting a sponsor very carefully. If we know that a sponsor has a certain reputation, we have to take that reputation into account if we want to run a campaign. And in the positive case, if a sponsor has a positive reputation, he's well known for getting things done, he's well known for implementing solutions, then we should actually consider running a campaign with him. This reputation and the attitude of people towards the sponsor, this can change over time, of course. So if I'm a part of the management, if I am sponsoring a campaign, and if I achieve results and implement them, this has of course a positive effect on my reputation. And we should encourage sponsors to run campaigns to actually change their reputation. This is one outcome of a successful campaign. And of course, generally speaking, not only if it comes to innovation management, sponsors that will find new ideas and solutions and that they will and then implement them, actually, they will get a high reputation, and they will have this will have a positive impact on their profile in the whole organization, so even outside of the innovation management program. And we should consider this and tell this to our management, that this is not only a service that they can use to solve problems and to identify solutions, but this has an impact on their reputation, on their profile within an organization. So our recommendation would be the reputation of a sponsor is really crucial. You should think about that before you run a campaign, and we should keep in mind that perceptions can change over time, and that profiles can change over time, and this can lead to positive results. All right, so we have talked about strategic sponsorship, we have talked a little bit about tactical sponsorship, we've talked about our audiences, how they are influenced by a sponsor in general, how they are influenced by selecting an appropriate sponsor. So let's talk about business values and the results we're looking for. What kind of impact does sponsorship have here? So first of all, we have to make sure, as we said, that sponsors have the remit to actually put into action the solutions that we have identified and that they can implement them. That is a crucial aspect if it comes to results and if it comes to the discussion, what kind of outcomes have we achieved. The clearer a sponsor defines what he's looking for, the more support we will get and the better our quality will be. So if I as a sponsor define the solutions that I'm looking for very, very carefully and very, very detailed, I will probably get the results that I'm looking for. The more vague I am, the more fuzzy everything is, the less solutions I will find, and the quality of those solutions will probably be not as high as I need them to be. So it is helpful to define the criteria and the aspects of solutions that I'm looking for. And one aspect of that is that they have to probably stay in a certain budget. So if I ask for ideas that can only be implemented in, let's say, within $1 million, then I will only get those ideas. If I leave this point open to the audience, and if they can decide what kind of scope a solution has or what kind of scope an idea has that they submit, then they will submit everything. And you will get a vast majority of solutions, maybe some that are helpful, but that they are simply out of your budget, and you cannot take action on them. So our recommendation would be very precise and state the criteria that solutions have to meet. Don't ask for something that you're actually not looking for, so don't ask for something outside of your scope. If you know that there's a certain budget already available, then state the budget here. So state the numbers and be transparent here. And if there is a need to actually acquire the budgets and get the budgets in the first place, then you should check, before you even run a campaign, you should check with the budget holder what kind of budget is available, and you should get numbers that are as precise as possible, so that you have an image what is possible and you can tell your audience that there are certain borders for the solutions that you are looking for. So we have talked about stakeholders, we've talked about the people that are involved in the campaign, we've talked about the community, the campaign management team, we've talked about the evaluation team, we have talked about the implementers of solutions, and they all have an influence on implementing ideas. So you have usually stakeholders that can veto something. So for example, the evaluators, they can say, well, we don't like anything here. You have people that implement stuff, so they have an actual influence on the results that you're looking for. And you have people that are looking to support the implementation process. And what you should do is, as a sponsor, or the sponsor himself, he should talk with those stakeholders, he should incorporate them into his campaign and into the planning process. So if you have people that are looking for influence, let them have an active role in the whole campaign and in your initiative. Maybe you can put them in the review team. If you have somebody who's known to veto a lot of things, then ask them what kind of questions should we apply to the solutions that might help us. So how can we evaluate them? So let him maybe help to define the criteria. And if we have people that are very supportive and they want to help us to implement our identified solutions, then let them take part in the whole process, let them have an active role, and maybe let them motivate our audience. So maybe let them act as innovation advocates. These are people that act on a local level, that motivate our target audience to contribute. So if you have those groups of stakeholders, let them take this role, and this is very effective. This has proven to be very effective with a lot of our clients. So our recommendations would be, our best practices would be that a sponsor should always think about all the stakeholders that are in place and that play an important role. We shouldn't underestimate them. They have an important role, and they can influence the success levels that might be possible. We should involve them appropriately, so we should, if possible, we should put them in one of those 3 groups and use them appropriately. And what is important is that our audience, they will become aware of them. They will know who is an innovation advocate, who is trying to encourage me to participate, who is the one who is in the review team that has an influence, and they will know the people that probably have helped the sponsor to get the criteria in place and to design the right campaign questions. So we should try to encourage the stakeholders to have certain roles in the campaign process, and we should keep in mind that our audience will be aware of them. All right, so how do we actually get now management involved here? So we have talked about strategic sponsorship on the program level, what kind of effects this has. We have talked about tactical sponsorship on the campaign level, what effects this has. We have talked about engagement, how sponsorship will help employees to motivate and what kind of aspects play a role. And we have talked about business results. We have talked about business value. How can sponsorship help us to actually achieve results? And now it comes, well, the question comes to mind, how do we get them all on board? So one thing that you will often hear is that your management or parts of your management will say, well, innovation management, it's very easy. Just open a box, just let this run as a suggestion scheme. Everybody can send in an email to one email inbox, or in some cases we even have real boxes where people can put in something written on a piece of paper. So this is something that you might hear. Or you might hear that let's try, first of all, to collect everything. Let's let the employees and our audience, let them contribute and collaborate. And after we have all those ideas in our database, then we will evaluate them, and then we will try to find good content there. Or what you will hear is that your management will set certain goals. They will say, well, I want 100 ideas within the next 2 months. Or they say, I want to run a certain amount of campaigns, maybe 10 campaigns. And all of those things you might hear, they have one thing in common. They are not related to real business challenges. So they are things that make your life maybe a little bit harder, but they actually are wrong expressions here. They are if your management actually will state those remarks here, then they haven't understand the innovation management principle in detail. What it means is that maybe they will put pressure on you, that maybe they tell you, please look for the maximum amount of ideas. So they will set goals that maybe don't make sense to you and don't make sense in general. What you have to do now is we have to sell the value of the program, and you have to sell to them that this is actually a service that will create real business value and that you will help them to solve their challenges. So as a best practice, you should not focus on any kind of numbers in terms of content, meaning that if your management says, well, I want 1,000 ideas, don't focus on that. If they say, I want at least 1 idea per user per year, or maybe I want at least 1 comment per user per month, those numbers, they don't really make sense because they're not focusing on business results. What you should focus on, and this is the point where you can actually sell the whole program to your management, is focus on the quality of the content. Focus on not the amount of content you get, but on the value that is created in the end. And this is the way how you can convince your management to actually participate in the program, to actually sponsor your program, to sponsor your campaigns, and to maybe take even an active role in campaigns. So if you want to plan your innovation program after you have maybe convinced 1 or 2 people within the management, or maybe even everybody, so how do you approach the rollout of your innovation program? What you should do is, first of all, approach the parts of your management that are generally open to new ideas. So somebody who has a profile, or maybe a group of people who have a profile, that they're very open-minded, that they are looking for new ways of solving problems, talk with them first. And ask them to actually act as sponsors. So talk about their business challenges, talk with them about the needs that they have, and try to get them on board, and try to run a couple of campaigns with them. Then you should focus on your audience. Where is a large group of people that are very diverse in their opinion, and where could you potentially find solutions to the problems of those sponsors? On top of that, you should not try to run an innovation program initially with strategic campaigns, meaning campaigns that will solve strategic problems your organization has. Try to run tactical campaigns first, meaning that you should look for business challenges that probably can be solved in a short time, where people submit ideas which can be implemented in a short period of time. This will simply serve the purpose that you can communicate successes very early throughout the rollout phase, maybe within the first 3 months or maybe within the first 6 months, and this will foster belief in the whole program. And once you have communicated those successes and even achieved those successes, of course, then you can start to expand the scope of the program, meaning then you can talk with all the other managers that you have in your organization, talk with them that are maybe a little bit more conservative, try to show the value of the whole innovation program. This is probably how you will get them on board and get the buy-in from them. And once you do that, then you can think beyond tactical campaigns. You can think about maybe more strategical campaigns that have more, maybe a longer running time, or maybe you will find solutions that need a longer implementation time, maybe a larger budget to get implemented and so on. So once the program has matured a little bit, try to think beyond tactical campaigns and try to be a little bit more adventurous, we say. Okay, so how can we support you to get the buy-in from your management? A first step would be that we can supply business cases. So we have run a couple of business cases with a couple of clients of ours. They had specific problems, and we helped them to actually solve those problems. And how we did this and what kind of interesting aspects played a role, this is all mentioned in those business cases. You can download them from our homepage. This will hopefully give you an insight into what is important in innovation management, and this will help you to get actually your management convinced. So maybe you can show them that other companies had struggled and they have actually found solutions to their business challenges. What we can also do is we can refer you to existing customers in our customer portfolio. So if you have a couple of customers that you want to talk with, we are very happy to simply get you connected to them. Something that Michael also mentioned in the beginning of the webinar, we have local user forums and one annual user forum here in Bonn. The next one actually is in May. And we are happy to invite you and would like to invite you to actually attend this user forum and get in touch with Hype, with all of our employees, and with a large part of our customer portfolio. And last but not least, that is a role that I have. I'm a strategic consultant here at Hype. We can help you in the end to raise awareness among your managers. So on site, we can support you by presenting you data, by being a part of meetings with your management to actually raise awareness among your management team. And what we can also do is, if you're struggling with the setup of an innovation program, if you're struggling with running campaigns, we can help you to run campaigns successfully so that you achieve quick results and so that you can present those results to your management and probably get a higher level of support from them. All right, so I would like to ask you a second question here. And this is the question that is related to the satisfaction level of the level of management support that you're getting. So I would like to ask you just simply to answer this question, if possible. Okay, very good. Thank you for that. So I close the question here, and I just want to show you the results, which are like I would expect them. So a lot of you are, generally speaking, satisfied with the support level, but even more support would actually lead probably to even better results. And 1/3 of you actually would say that there's a lack of support and that this affects actually the success of your program, which is also something that we see in some cases. So this would actually represent also the impression that we have. Okay, very good. So let's summarize what we have talked about today. First of all, we recommend a program sponsorship. So strategic sponsorship, if possible, you should have a sponsor for the whole program in place, so that everybody knows this is supported by executive management, maybe even by the CEO, and this is now part of my day job. Then we recommend that you ask management for help. So ask them for a sponsorship of certain campaigns, and simply try to convince them that you can actually solve their problems by running campaigns and asking a specific audience to identify solutions to the problems that they have. Then we would recommend to encourage every leader, everybody within your management team to support the program. This is something that will, of course, need some time and need some effort from your side, but this is something that actually is very useful. So as soon as you have achieved a certain level of success, as soon as a couple of campaigns have identified solutions to business problems, try to communicate this. Try to spread the word. Try to actively approach everybody within your management team, simply to highlight that this is a successful program, that this will actually help the whole organization to grow in terms of revenue and profit, probably gain maybe market share in a market that is dominated by tough competition. So ask everybody to support the program. Then you should ask sponsors to act on the ideas and the solutions that they have identified in a campaign. So it is, as we saw, it is very crucial that if a sponsor is sponsoring a campaign, and if the campaign has ended, and if solutions can be identified or have been identified, then they should act on that. And this will ensure that people will have belief in the process, and it makes sure that our audiences will participate in the future. And last but not least, sponsors should give feedback. So that means that, for example, if a campaign runs, they should maybe communicate successes even within the campaign running time, but especially when it comes to the phase after a campaign has ended, we should, as sponsors, communicate the successes that have been achieved, the solutions that have been identified, and maybe even name the people that have helped us to actually solve a business challenge here. So this would actually conclude my webinar for today. I'm just looking for the time, so we have actually just 1 minute left, and I'm looking for a question that I might have time to answer. So actually, we have questions here that will take longer to answer. So as Michel said, we will deliver the questions to you in a follow-up email and answers to them, and you will get this as soon as possible. I would like to thank you for participating into this first webinar of the new year and showing interest into the topic of sponsorship. If you have any questions outside of this webinar, you can directly contact me, and I will answer your questions accordingly. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Thanks, everyone. And yeah, you have another couple of seconds just to drop us a couple of questions. We will get back to them on our follow-up email right afterwards. Not right afterwards. Give me a couple of, at least maybe 2 days or something to get everything together. But yes, thanks for having you here. And